Hey there, my friends. Hello, how are you? Let's do some animation fundamental stuff, shall we? Today we are talking about a little bit of anticipation, probably one of the most important animation fundamentals that are out there. But I also want to include in this tutorial or in this lecture a little bit of smears and blurs and how you can work them to get interesting and different results. Okay, so let's head over to our blackboard and we can see, there we go, perfect, we're in. So we're on Blackboard and I'm over in course content. Okay, and then animation, and I've put in a few new couple of new links, okay, that are links to some excellent online tutorials. So writing for animation or writing for motion design is Evan Abrams, and this is sort of big picture ideas. Okay, so if you still haven't started with your animation fundamentals, or so your assignment, our big one, this is a good place to start. Like I said, I'm not getting you to do storyboards this time, but having a sense of what you want to do and writing it out or even thumbnailing it is an excellent idea. So let's have a look at what he has to say. Just intro for now.
Hello everyone, this is Evan Abrams, and in this video we're going to talk about an important part of the pre-production process. It's writing for motion design. Now, even if your piece doesn't even have voiceover or dialogue, you still need to write down what we're expected to see. What are the narrative arcs? What are the beats you're planning to go through? Maybe it's a short piece or a long piece. You should still be writing down your ideas. Writing is a very quick way to iterate through a bunch of ideas before you have to try them out visually. It's also important to organize your thoughts so that you can collect them and start to filter out bad ideas, keep good ideas, expand on areas, shrink areas. Writing can really help refine what you're about to create. And while many of us motion designers get scripts foisted on us, it's important to take those scripts and turn them into meaningful visual things. It's all well and good to have an amazing style, but if there's no substance to a piece, what are we really doing here? So in this video, we're going to look at a couple of scenarios. One where you have total control and can create the script however you like. And the second...
Yeah, so pretty good intro. The entire thing is great, as all of his stuff is. And I do recommend going through it just to get that random, like, complete big picture. I don't know what's going on. Just get it on camera or on paper. Okay. Now, the next two here are more physics based. Okay, so tips for animating dynamics is this one here, and this one is actually really good. Like, actually, I would recommend, if you don't know what to do, just try to follow what this guy does here. Let's have a look.
Basics. Okay, I know what you're thinking. Start with the basics. Oh wow, thanks Adam for that searing insight. What next? Don't animate whilst driving. Remember to breathe. Alright, bear with me. If you haven't done the bouncing ball exercise, that's where you should begin. Most animation courses start with it, and there's a reason for that. If you're new to animation, there's plenty of tutorials out there, so I'm not going to add to the pile. It'll teach you about timing, arcs, weight, and other basic animation principles. Once you've got the hang of keyframing a bouncing ball, it's not a huge leap to have an object bounce up and land in frame, as I've started off with here. I would start by separating the dimensions on the position, and have your first object either bounce into place or jump up and bounce in. Just get one thing animated nicely, then add some rotation.
Yeah.
Perhaps
so just keep going with that. I do recommend, like he does. This is the one he's doing.
I'm Adam Bennett. This is the video tips of creating animations like this in After Effects. Hi, I'm Adam Bennett. This will give you my 5 tips of creating animations like this in After Effects.
Yeah, just a little bit of an introduction there, and he goes into the specifics. So another excellent tutorial. Okay. And then this last one is more kind of big picture. This law of physics, rules of animation here. This is a LinkedIn Learning course, and is another one by Owen Lowry, who just does excellent stuff. Let's have a look for a sec.
we'll delve into physics and how it relates to animation. Why? Well, because when you animate, regardless of what you're animating, text, characters, graphics, etc., you are creating a world that has specific characteristics with how elements animate, move, and adhere to physical principles in which you establish. Basically, you have to purposely create the physics of your animated world. You might not have gravity or Earth-like physics, but you must establish your own guidelines about how elements move and then stick to those guidelines to make your style.
Wow. Okay.
While glossing over big ideas such as space curvature, quantum, own guidelines about how elements move and then stick to those guidelines to make your style consistent and, well, believable. So to help you do that, let's quickly go over some laws of physics and rules of animation that will help you think about creating the physics of your animated world. Also, before we start,
Okay, so yeah, and he says
I
Angie
must
Taylor.
give a quick shout out to Angie Taylor.
Yeah, she does some great stuff on there too, and of course we've all, or I've shown you that stuff previously. So yeah, another excellent start off. Okay, again, like I want in your project. There needs to be some type of adherence to real world physics. Okay, so you might be in space, but something might bounce off something, or a rocket ship take off, or you might be underwater and something swimming and sort of ebbing and flowing, or it might simply be a bouncing ball. Okay, that all of a sudden comes to life, or something happens. Okay. So do have a look at those three. They are excellent. So the next one we are going down into, there we go. I got to turn that on. Is this one here. Okay. Anticipation, blurs, and smears. This is a Milanote link that I have here. So I have some even more specific tutorials to show you specifically, and of course we are looking at in this case ball bounce with anticipation up here. So I've got the After Effects file, so you can go have a look, and that's right here. So so there we go again. Here, I'll turn that on so we can see now how easily we can create something. Or not easily, just straightforward, okay? It does take some time. And again, you can see here, separating the X and Y values does help to simplify the process. So I do recommend that, okay? And then you can get in there and see, have a look at all of these keyframes, but also get into the graph editor and really get in there and play around. Okay, that is what will be required for you to create some good, believable animation. Is you're going to be going into that graph editor again and again and again and again and again and again. Okay, so just make it your friend. Try not to fight it, and like the guy said in the video there. Don't forget to breathe. Don't animate when you're driving. Okay. Anyway, let's keep going. Moving over back to here. So anticipation. There's a few really good ones here. I think I've shown this previously, of course. As far as anticipation, this is from last semester's content where I talk about how important it is, okay, not just for real world physics or animation fundamentals, but it also gets into where your client is where the viewer is looking, okay, how best to make everything clear. And you can do that by going, well, I think I want to talk about this. Like, that was just anticipation, okay? And you can't help but to get to take that or to pay attention and see what's coming next. Okay, so yeah, this is great. This is the animator's first law should be a subtle and opposite anticipation, and that comes right from this Seneca library book. Okay. and it's actually excellent book. This is it right here, and just talks about the again, more of the bigger picture. Okay, it also gets into this is for character animation, but can be applied for our projects as well. Not the least of which is how to make an animated film. So if we go down here, you'll see there's exploring ideas, storytelling, script writing. Okay, again, more the more information you have, the less big, abstract, and scary this project will be. Okay, gets into animatics and key, blocking out that the animation there. Okay, so I definitely do recommend that. And then, of course, we have some other really good tutorials there. And I believe this is another one from Angie Taylor right there. All right. So anticipation is your friend. Okay, we want to create that sense of what's about to happen next. Okay, let's go back over to After Effects. And I have one here. So this one this is actually a little more to do with smears. As you can see, this is from that next one right here, anticipation smears test. But what it also has, this text also has some anticipation, right? I have this coming in and then squishing up. It's quite a quick anticipation, so you could play with that to be a little more direct. So for example, if I had my text, so text, and I do believe I have gone over this previously, but with text there's a few different ways we can play with anticipation, right? We could just move it, we could scale it, which, taking off the link there for constrained proportions, and we could just take this in and squish it. Never ever do that. Okay, it looks terrible. Never squish text, and the reason for that is because text animators have or text layers have this little animator button, and we can play with tracking. Okay, that is one of the best ways to get some anticipation going. Squish it all into a box and then blast it away. Okay, so you're just playing with that tracking amount. All right, so yeah, just take this, go to maybe here. Definitely want to ease that in, and then we want to squish it in. So it's squishing, and then maybe just a little more, right? So it's kind of going fast, and then we want to, maybe this will be even longer, and then we want to blast that off. Okay, and then we're going to take this out however you want to take it out. Now, because this is text, I have again more options, right? I could just go and hit P for position. That totally works, and I'll hit U to bring that back, and then I'll just have this sort of, fly its way out. I could, make a motion path, and it's gonna squish, and boom. I mean, that looks terrible because it's on this, it's going, it's not going along the path. So if we just keep that simple, then maybe that feels better. Yeah, maybe even faster. Boom. Okay. I would then go in here and start massaging out these. I'm hitting plus sign to get zoomed in there. So yeah, just a little bit of smooth. Boom. All right. Maybe something even more like that. Maybe this is even longer. So like the anticipation, you can play with that just to, just play with them. Push it around, and see what feels good for that. Okay. Yeah, so that feels good for me. Okay, and then there's the other, of course, we know we can take off this position completely and we can just go draw ourselves a path, right? We could, you know, have it blast off, right? Basically, I'm making the beginnings of a mask here with this, but because this is text, I can just go into that text and go to path options and change it to mask 1. And now all I'm doing, instead of that animating the position of my text layer, I'm actually just going to animate the margins. So if I hit U again, I've taken off that thing, and now it's going to follow its motion path. Woof. And of course, you need to make sure this is, you know, and you can also animate this path, don't forget. So there's all kinds of ways for us to, yeah. And so this one again, like I could take this, copy paste it, maybe have a little bit of back so that the whole thing is going even more. Woof. And then this has to stay there. Copy paste. Boom. Okay, so that's one way to get anticipation out of text. Now, for me, going back to this workflow where we have smears, is different. We can't play with this first margin thing. We can't play with the text, because what we need to do is actually convert this over to either shapes or masks. Okay. So I'm just going to completely take this off, and I'll take that mask and delete it. And now the workflow for this is just to right click, create, and doesn't matter which one you choose. The results will be the same. So we'll keep it nice and as dynamic as we can, or give us as many options as we can later on, and create shapes from text. And now, if scroll down in here, you'll see my all of my elements are actually just vector layers now, right? And so now what I can do is get into the path options of that. Okay, so, and also I would need to go into the transform properties here for all of them. So I would, you know, take this, maybe this goes back a bit, or if I wanted to smear it, of course, I would just go right into here, hit G on my keyboard and grab all those keyframes, and this is where I would just have it smearing out like that as it shoots across the page. Okay, and you can do that for all of them. So yeah, if I convert text to paths, you can see here that I've done the same thing. It gets a little more involved. You're digging right down deep into the content there, but you get a really neat, really cool effect out of that. Okay, so that's up to you on how you want to approach that. Okay, but yeah, smears are the way to go. Okay, and we can, instead of just a straight up motion blur, for example, you know, if this thing was just shooting across here, let's just take the whole position here, there, and zoom. He's just gonna zoom himself right off. Okay. Whoa. See how bad that is without anticipation. Zoom. Okay, and also, of course, without our easing. All right. But if I go in there and I put motion blur right here, you can see already, like this whole thing just looks, we lose that nice graphic result. Okay, that nice vector based thing. Now you can see the quality level also not great. We could change that. I'm going to go up to composition settings, and you'll see over in the advanced tab that we have motion blur. So we can change the shutter angle to, so this will either, you know, be before or after, or how much it should be. And so you could, you know, bring that down quite a bit, right? And actually you get a much nicer angle. And you can also up the amount of samples so that you get a much nicer, much tighter motion blur. Or in this case, it's just less, right? Which I feel works much nicer. Okay, so you could do that, and then you're just turning on motion blur for your entire thing. It depends what your project is, right? If you're ever compositing text or compositing anything into a live action footage, there will be motion blur in that footage, okay? So you have to match it. But for us, maybe we don't want to do that. Maybe we want to keep the nice vector graphics, and this is where we get into smears, okay? There's another one here for smearing. Yeah, this this is to do with expressions, but this one here, this 3 ways to create animated smear, is really good tutorials. And one of them, as you can see here, I'm using it here on this ball. So smears from, yeah. So what I have here is this ball just shooting across the page, but this time you can see I don't have, any motion blur on it, but I have an effect called echo. So basically what that is, if I were to put that on here, I'm going up to effect. Oh, I gotta select it. Effect and time, and then echo. And this is a really cool effect. You can get some really interesting results out of it. So I do recommend you play around with it. And if I open that up, so you can see here, it kind of defaults to this kind of silly, like there's number of echoes 1. So you need to blast that up quite a bit more. But then what you need to do mainly here is the echo time. We need to take this way down, right? So right now this is only 0.03 of a second. If I hit like 0.03 of a second, you'll see now we get these nice tight little blurs. Isn't that great? And then you can play with the decay so that it kind of starts looking a little nicer. I'm gonna add more echoes, and I'm gonna take this down to maybe 1, so that it really I'll put this back up on full so we can see it. Yeah, so now we're getting this really nice blur excuse me, or smear result, but it's just because of this really cool thing here. So yeah, and even more, so 0.5, so it's 0.005, and now you can see how really nice and tight that that blur is. And what you get is the beginning of your element maintains its nice vector graphic, and the edge, the end, you can just take these off and have them nicely smear out. Okay. Maybe not that much, but yeah. So you're just sort of playing with these, hitting RAM preview and seeing how it feels. Okay. And then once you start adding glow and that kind of stuff, you also get some really cool results. Alrighty, the last one I wanted to play or show you about was this idea of either using motion sketch to get blurs and smears, or even motion paths, which I will be touching on later. But what I did here, I'll just show you this guy. And what I did for this is actually, this is actually just a layer. Here, I'll turn on my, where are you here? This one. This is just a path that I drew with the pen. So I have it going around, blah, 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 going all here, there, and everywhere. And then I got into that stroke, I added a trim paths option. And trim paths is really, really fun. You can play with offset in this case. This will just sort of shoot it around, okay? And then also in here in the taper of this stroke path, right down here, taper, that's where you get this kind of, smeared kind of fish looking thing. And then to animate it, like going from something like that's nice and long and thin, all I did was animated the stroke width, and at the same time the start and end, so that it, like, if it's longer, I made the width less, and then I made up here when it's nice and thick, I just animated that stroke, animated the stroke to be thicker, and then the start and end to be thinner, to be shorter. And then as it goes along and gets faster, it shoots out. So really, really fun results, and you can play with this. Like what I'm doing here, you can see this. The offset is basically the motion path, right? Like I could have just had a keyframe at the beginning and a keyframe at the end, and put my keyframes here. I could have put rove across time, and it would, maintain the same speed. But what I did was, once I had the beginning and end, then I went in and I slowed it down. You can see here, if I go into my graph editor, I've slowed it down at the top, and then it gets nice and fast, and then it slows down, and then it gets nice and fast as it shoots out. Okay, so what you're doing, again, you're blocking out your animation, beginning and end, and then slowing down and enhancing this so that you get some nice little results as a result. I don't know what else to say. Okay, so you can play with. There's all kinds of different ways to get this idea of smears or blurs or motion lines. Okay, and I will be coming back to motion paths, but this is a good little primer for you. All right. So yeah, going back to anticipation, just taking this further, this leading connecting thread, right? Using animated graphics to guide the viewer around the stage, but it's really just it's anticipation. Okay, that kind of thing is really, really going to make the biggest difference for you, and make your work that much more engaging and fun to watch. Okay, so there you go, my friends. That is a little bit of work I wanted to impart on you. Please do go visit Blackboard, see all of those links that I showed you, and yeah, get to playing, get to animating. Now, bigger picture. One more thing, bigger picture. We're talking about laws of physics and animating dynamics and that kind of thing. Don't be afraid to use real world video reference. Okay, character animators use live action footage all the time, so they will film themselves jumping or landing or throwing something or falling off a chair or something like that. So you could go and videotape yourself and apply those couple of elements to it. Whether it's, maybe you're just like juggling something. Maybe you have a ball and you're throwing it up and down. Well, you can take those elements and apply, like trace the animation, trace the live action footage, and apply that to whatever you wanted to, whatever your content is. Okay. So, definitely watch this Writing for Animation. It will really, if you haven't started yet and you don't have an idea, okay. Or if you don't know what you want to do, then, you know, just go and play with something.
In this
like
video, I'm going to give
like
you my
this,
5.
Okay. It really, even if it's just as simple as that, you will get something really beautiful and work really well. And these videos are excellent, very, very entertaining, and very well done. Okay. And you can get the After Effects files from them as well, I do believe. Okay, folks, happy animating, and as always, send me emails if you have any questions or concerns, and otherwise, I'll see you next time, folks. Take it easy, and yeah, happy animating. Cheers.